We're going to do a worksheet where we mix white and colors to get tints and shades of that color. Welcome to the Art Project. Thanks for clicking on my video. Please give me a thumbs up if you enjoy the video. So a lot of times my students have a really messy palette like this. And this is not acceptable. There is no reason why your palette should look like that. So I'm going to show you the correct way to do it. First, I'm going to put the different colors on my plate, and when I'm done, I do not want to mess these colors up at all. So I'm always going to have a clean brush when I get paint from this particular plate. This is not a mixing plate. This is where my colors are, and these are the colors that I share with the students at my table. I make a bucket of water with just a little bit of water, just about a fourth of the bucket. That way if I spill it, I don't have a lot to clean up. This is a newspaper that I fold in half a few times, and that is my newspaper to dry my brush on. I will never have paint in my brush when I touch that newspaper. That will simply be for wiping the water off of my brush, like this. Notice how I squeezed water out of the brush and into the bucket, and now I'm wiping the excess water out of the brush. I'm going to take some yellow, put it where it goes on the worksheet, and then I'm going to make a pile of clean yellow paint on the mixing paper. Wash my brush out, get some white. Wash my brush out, dry it off, get some more yellow. I set my yellow up on this mixing paper so that I can mix like 3 different colors, and I eventually did that, but you're going to notice that I didn't do that at first. So the first thing I'm going to do is make tints of yellow. The way you do that is you simply add a little bit of white to the yellow, and then you paint in a square. Add a little more white to the yellow and paint in the next square. Add a little more white to the yellow and put it in the next square. Add a little more white to the yellow. Sometimes you have to do a completely separate spot. And with just the paint that's in my brush, without getting any more yellow paint, I keep adding a little bit of white to it. Wash my brush out completely, dry it off, and then wash it out after the yellow. Wash it out and dry it off again and get some black. Notice I don't have a lot of black. Just a little bit of black with that yellow makes it a little bit darker. And then a little bit darker. And a little bit more black. Makes it a little bit darker. You'll notice every now and then I wash my brush out, even though I'm not changing colors. It's probably because I've got too much paint loaded into the bristles of the brush, and too much paint to change to the next value. So I'm washing some of it out. But right there on my plate, I'm just adding a little bit of black to it until eventually that spot becomes like solid black. Now I'm going to do the red, and I'm doing it the same way. Add a little bit of white to it, paint the next spot, add a little more white, paint the next spot, add a little more white, paint the next spot. I'm using the same strategy to go through all of my colors, but pay careful attention and notice that I did not put any paint in the plate other than what was already there. I wash my brush out every time I go back to the plate to get paint. Please do not contaminate the paint on the plate. You wouldn't like it if someone does it to you, so please do not do it to someone else. All of the mixing takes place on my mixing sheet, which, by the way, the mixing sheet, that's where the work happens. And so it is directly in front of me. Every time I mix up a new color, I reach over to my right and I put that little bit of color into that little bit of space. The real work is happening on my palette, on my mixing paper. When I'm done, all nice and clean. Look at this plate, how beautiful and clean and uncontaminated that paint is. My students can use that paint all day long. Now, to clean up my mess, I'm going to take all of my newspapers, and by the way, this one doesn't have any paint on it, but it was wet. I'm going to take all of my stuff, fold it up into my newspaper that I had down to protect my table, fold it up, and then throw it into the trash can. Now I'm also going to wash my brushes out. I used tempera paint for this. And so tempera paint's a little bit easier on brushes, but I'm washing my brush out, straightening my bristles, and laying it to the side. I never leave the brush in the water overnight. That is a bad idea. When you get your brush back, it will have a bed head. It'll have bristles that are all bent over. My water bucket, my brushes, and my plate are in the middle of my table, ready for my next class.
No purpose whatsoever.
And here is a little extra.
All right. So you got, I'm going to roll this up like this.
Is this like the tater tot video?
Oh, wait, this one might not work.
Let's make another tater tot
I don't know
video.
if it'll work or not. All right, now thump it as hard as you can right in the middle.
Oh.
Usually it's louder, but...
So thanks for watching. Please give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Please hit subscribe if you have not already. Please read the description, and please share on your favorite social media platform or your website.